Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Move with Love podcast. I am April Miranda, your host, healer, and guide, and I am so thrilled to have my soul sister, a great friend who plays an important role even in my story of where I am today. Stacy Irie Soul. She is a coach. She empowers women to embrace transformation, unlocking their potential to manifest their envisioned lives through her Confident Creatrix programs. She's also now a proud co-founder and enthusiastically involved in a visionary project, the development of a sustainable Aldea eco-village in Nosara, Costa Rica. Please welcome to the show, Stacy Irie Soul.
Hello. Thank you for having me, April. It's a pleasure to be here.
You have such a special place in my heart. And maybe I'll just even just tell the audience why, because she is a co-founder of TmrwTday, which is this community of transformative retreats. And I went to one in Jamaica. First, I won tickets and then I volunteered. And then that's when I met now my current husband. And now we have two kids. So that like your existence, Stacy, is a huge part of who I am today. So just even that, thank you for leaning in and saying yes to this conversation.
Yes, of course. It was an of course.
So let's get right into it. Please tell us a little bit about your story, but most importantly, three turning points in your life that contributed to who you are today.
Mm, Three turning points. Well, definitely where I am today is a big contrast from where I was, in my 20s and even early 30s. Big life shifts have taken place. And I would say one of those pivotal points, and this is probably going to sound so cliche, but it was the first time I practiced yoga, like the first time I came onto a mat. More than just the practice itself, it was the teacher for sure. I always like to shout out Carrie Spady because she's just the best. But that's, I think, one of the major ones because that's where my awakening started. In the practice, more so in Shavasana, in meditation, is where I really got to become conscious of myself and really begin to like reflect on, where my life was and where it was going and like what mattered to me. Before then, I was just kind of running on autopilot. And so yoga, definitely. I would say a second one would be our journey, in the earlier years of TmrwTday, as you mentioned. We started our festival in Jamaica and we did our first 3 years there. That really led us to step outside of our comfort zone and to like lean into the bigger vision, the big dreams, and where I saw wild manifestations take place in order for those festivals and experiences to happen. We were divinely supported, and I like truly feel that. And even like your story of you and Chris, and now Bella and Bodhi coming through as a result for that. TmrwTday definitely is one of those pivotal points in life. And then the third one, I think I would have to say, the ceremony and journey of motherhood, becoming a mom and that whole journey of pregnancy, birth, recovery, and now every day it's just like a continuing learning journey. But one of the greatest gifts, and every single day I get to witness a miracle. So yeah, those are my three, I think, top. Yeah.
Wow. And even just witnessing you in that journey, yeah, that rite of passage of motherhood, it's such an honor to walk this journey with you. And you do have so much wisdom that you embody, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. Like, you are definitely a soul sister who I love having in my corner because we are on this journey together.
Mhm. Yes.
What is one thing that you're really proud of?
One thing I'm really proud of, I think it's, as I mentioned, like looking back, just having the courage to start all over again, as some people would call it, really shifting from the life I was living, becoming really honest with myself that I wasn't really, not that I wasn't happy, but that I knew I wasn't going to be happy, or that that wasn't a sustainable way of living for me. Like a little backstory, coming from like the nightclub industry and working in the clubs and party lifestyle, um, as well as, having that safe, cushy, corporate, government job where at one point I was a self-proclaimed lifer because I had been over 10 years with the company, paying into the union, paying into the pension, and really stepping away from all of that is something I'm really proud of, because it would have been easy to just kind of stay in that comfort zone. But then I wouldn't be living this life today that I feel so grateful and so blessed to live. Like, you know, just the freedom alone, and the time that I get to spend with my daughter, was something that was just like a dream that I couldn't even imagine or try to figure out back then.
Mm.
And so I look back at my past self, and I'm really proud of her for having that courage and believing in herself that she could make the changes that I made.
And you have this course called the Confident Creatrix. Like you embody this confident, powerful master creator
Yeah.
of where you've been. Like I am currently recording this podcast downtown Toronto. We know about the corporate world. We know about all the clubs and restaurants that are here that come alive at nighttime. And you are living and breathing a whole new lifestyle. And so with the Confident Creatrix program, like will you be teaching your best practices on how you got out of the rat race, the matrix? Will you be teaching your secret sauce to all these women?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's funny as you look out the window because I know, as you know, April, like, we literally lived behind the building you're sitting in right now, and
It's
so
true.
you're actually, like, physically in that space. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's not, I I know that I can come across as very confident and like that I have it all figured out. But it's that's not always the case. Like it's a journey, and it's definitely hard, but staying in that lifestyle also would have been hard. And so, to anyone listening, or maybe that might need to receive this message, it's just like we choose our hard, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
yes, that is one of the things I talk about in the Confident Creatrix program. And the program is essentially me sharing all of the tools, all of the practices, all of the ways that I was able to create that shift and step into change for myself. Um, probably over 8 years of study, of courses, of mentorship, modalities, frameworks that I kind of just pull and choose the parts that really resonated and worked for me, and have created, my own kind of 4-part framework I call like the Irie Soul method that we go through in the Creatrix program, um, where, yeah, like I invite people to, get to know what is it that you want to do, like to discover that clarity that I know for myself. Once I knew I wasn't happy where I was, and didn't want to like continue there for like the next even 2 to 5 years, let alone 25 years to my pension.
Mhm.
um, I didn't know what I wanted or where to go. And so, a big part of it is discovering that clarity. And I think confidence and clarity kind of go hand in hand. You can't become clear if you don't have the confidence, to go ahead and know that you're going to make a change. And you can have all the clarity in the world, but if you don't have the confidence to, move towards it, they're kind of part of the same. And I kind of weave in with that, like alignment, intuition, and courage, and our ability to manifest. I think all five of these things are kind of all part of, one greater thing, and that's what we explore in the program.
Yeah. And I've been so lucky to experience this Confidence Creatrix journey. It was last December, January, when I was what, 7 months pregnant, and it was a beautiful container to be held with women, and we are all working on something different, but it was all, yeah, finding clarity, like really unblocking all the stuff that keeps us blinded from our truth. And I felt like you were able to take us on this beautiful journey in this sacred container to find more of our truest essence of like who we were born to be in this lifetime. And is that
Yeah.
I think naturality, was that one of the
Yep. Yep.
pillars or concepts? And whether it's with our doshas or what other tools you worked with, was it like numerology or astrology, like human
Yeah.
design, you went there, like
Design. Yeah.
you really incorporate so many, yeah, modalities, ancient wisdom. So could you please even share, like, could you share some of the modalities that you incorporate? And was this part of your journey, like with these mentors? Can you share these modalities and who helped shaped you?
Yeah, definitely. So I can talk a little bit about the four parts of the method, what we, go through during the program. Like the first is teachability. Um, and that's also our ability to understand like this infinite field of possibilities. And it's not just like talking about manifesting and magic. It's actually backed by, science, quantum science, a lot of work by Dr. Joe Dispenza. The second is humanity, where we dive into shadow work. I think shadow work is such an important part of the journey, because those are the parts the most uncomfortable, the most avoided, but where we grow the most and overcome our limiting beliefs, our fears. And then from there is naturality, which you just mentioned, where we really get to intimately get to know ourselves. We spend so much time with ourselves our whole lives, but we don't really spend the time to get to know ourselves and understand why we are the way we are. And the definition of naturality is living according to your innate nature. And so instead of like reaching out there to try to figure out what is my purpose, what am I meant to do, it's like finding those answers from within. And that's through intuition, but also through getting to know, like, well, what is my innate nature? What does that mean? It's like, well, what are your God-given gifts? What comes naturally to you? That's easy, that you enjoy. And most times these parts of ourselves are so obvious that they're just so overlooked because it's just too obvious. And it kind of takes, working through it and having, that outside perspective as well to help us see like, oh, well, oh, this is so easy for me. Like I couldn't actually do this thing. And it's like, oh no, actually there's so many people that wish they could do that thing. Right. And sometimes it comes from our struggles um, that we build, those innate abilities. And then the final is infinite possibility. And that's where we kind of really step into it and align ourselves with, all the tools that we've worked with and really go out there and take action and, decipher a plan and alignment is what that final part of the framework is all about. You mentioned some of the tools and the naturality, like understanding our human design or gene codes. Um, those are, frameworks like once I uh, um, stumbled upon them, I really got to understand myself and why I am the way I am in certain aspects. You can work with them, within relationships, and then it can help you work better in the future, right?
Mhm.
Like one of my favorite books and something we talk a lot about in the program is the Four Agreements, right? That's another one. Internal family systems framework, parts work. That's a lot of what we will work with in the shadow work component, the humanity component, as
Mhm.
well as inner child work, which is, all tied
So
into.
important.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And like listening to you say this, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I remember that unit. I remember like that blew my mind. Like, so I highly recommend the Confident Creatrix program because it did shift energy from in my life from the inside out. And I like how you do work with the quantum field, but you also work with the inner child, the trauma, the past, the shadow work, because we can't be light workers if we're not going to do shadow work. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I love how we are multidimensional beings, and you've covered it all in your 8-week course.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
one thing I'll add to that though is,
mhm,
as much as the course does have a lot of tools and practices and all the things that I've worked with, and I've, packaged it in a way that worked for me, I think the most powerful part of the Confident Creatrix container is the community. It's all the
mhm,
women that come together. Um, of course, the tools and the lessons and the exercises are there. But there's something super powerful, and I know you know this because you've done the program, but when a group of women come together to do this work together, we kind of like light each other up.
mhm.
It's like having a weekly woman circle, because the calls, are live group sessions. It's a little bit of a teaching component, but as probably recall, it's more of like a sacred and safe space to process our own shit. And, we're all going through it, as much as there may be stuff going on in the collective or energetically, in the world, in the cosmos, we're all going through our own individual struggles. And so I think the most powerful component is the women that come, because you all come with, open hearts, open minds, and that willingness to be vulnerable and to really work through it together.
Yeah, and leaning into that circle, that community, it's like we were never meant to do this alone, and it's tough with what we experience individually and as a collective, that actually having the courage to do the shadow work, trauma work, looking at the entire spectrum, being human is tough work. And you hold space, and it's so safe to feel held and nourished as we go through together, and it's you have this ongoing group chat with the Confident Creatrix alumni, and I still feel held and
Mm,
nourished, even though I did the course last year. I still feel I'm in this sacred container, and we just weave this woven net across time and space with these other powerful women. So thank you for that space. So
mm.
I guess, like, who are you calling in? Who is this course for? Like, so for those who are listening, they'll know if they need to lean in to that full body yes, or if it's a
Mm.
no at the time, right? So who is this for, Stacy?
Well, it is a course for women, again, keeping it a sacred container, of women. But this course is for anyone who feels stuck, for anyone who wants to gain clarity and doesn't really know, maybe feeling a little bit lost or overwhelmed or anxious, because these could all be signs of misalignment, of a kind of just living life right now, but not living for yourself, maybe living from the expectations of others or society, or just like myself was found myself just living, like ending up in this life with this career in this world where I was, I don't even know how I got there, right? It was just kind of following, what society tells us to do. So anyone who's, feeling like they're ready for a big change, or anyone who's feeling like they know where they want to go, or they feel this inner calling, to do more, but they're scared, that they're
Mm,
being held back, with limiting beliefs, stories from the past, or anyone who doesn't have the community to support their dreams, or is looking for the accountability, to move forward. um, they say in coach, like for coaches and with marketing, you got to be real specific and you got to get into your niche. And for me, there's not like one real specific client avatar, because I think this can relate to women from all ages, from all backgrounds. And I've seen that in my course. I've had
Mhm.
women in my course, young women in their early 20s. And then I've had women in my course in their late 50s, even 60s.
Mhm.
Um, and again, it's, we could be going through, different periods or phases of life, but it doesn't mean that at the core, our desire for change, to step out of fear, to get clear, to,
Mhm.
try something new isn't always there, because we're just always evolving, always
Yeah.
changing.
Oh, and and I see like we're like cyclical beings, you know what I mean? We can't be in the same cycle, whether it's going the routine or even us women in our moon cycle, but like you can create this cycle that is going to a new level, going higher and higher towards your higher self and your truth. So if you're listening and you feel, if you're stuck, if you're craving a community, if you're looking for something new, or if you know there are blocks that you're ready to release, I want you to lean in, find Stacy where she is, online and offline. She has yeah, lots of offerings. So Confidence Creatrix is one, the Tomorrow Today community. And then the La Aldea, like which, like, do you want to talk about any of these other, other spaces while your journey is unfolding?
Yeah. And yeah, it's funny. It's like, someone asked me the other day, like, what do you do? And I was like, how much time do you got? Because there's like a big list
Yeah.
of things, which again is part of the blessing. And that big shift I made was the ability now to do, more. I've been
Hmm.
calling in, on the ability to hold more. But yeah, with Tomorrow Today, as we mentioned, it's like a wellness festival, experiential experience, a personal development and transformation. That's our in-person event. We started that in Jamaica. Now our signature event happens in Ontario, Northern Ontario. We have Tomorrow Today Dream Camp that takes place at the end of the summer, like a 4-day experience. And Jamaica will definitely be back, and we have plans of taking Tomorrow Today to other places in the world. But yeah, that's, our in-person gatherings, that you can follow us on socials as well. I'm sure April will link everything in. And La Aldea is our eco village that we're building down in Costa Rica on the Pacific coast. And, that just synchronicity fell into our lap. It was not something we planned for. The universe had bigger plans for us when we were looking just for a lot to build a home. And, both of those offerings are just, especially Tomorrow Today, Lal Day as well. But with Tomorrow Today, I'll say it's for anyone that's searching for their community, that might be feeling like the lone wolf, that maybe is going through a shift in consciousness, and maybe no longer feeling super aligned with your current circle of friends, and you want, more meaningful connections and the space to grow, to do that personal development work and to grow together. That's what we were craving and why we created it to start with. I make this joke that, Andrew and I, coming from the nightclub background, it's like we've replaced alcohol with cacao. Like all of our events are non-alcoholic, but we'll do like cacao ceremonies and breath work, and,
Hmm.
and for La Aldea, similar for those who are feeling misaligned with the way they're living, for us, feeling that call back to nature, um, to live in the jungle, to live more in tuned and in harmony with nature, to, learn how to live off the land. And it's really, I would say, the motivation also behind that is now having a little one, and wanting her to grow up more in that world than in this world that is just becoming a little bit too fast, a little bit too busy, a little bit too disconnected, despite all the technology that is meant to keep us connected. Um, right? And so with Aldea, we have 27 home lots that, we're calling in that soul fam that, and I know you and Chris are holding the vision. We got your lot on hold. Um, that just wants that alternative, different way of living. And it's not to say that we renounce the Western world, because of course we want to live in both, right? And so we still come back every year and spend summers and a good chunk of the year here with family, and that's great. But just having that freedom and flexibility to be able to do both.
Mm.
And if that seems like a way too out there, like far reaching dream, that's where Confident Creatrix comes in. And, we work with and learn the tools to create and activate and become the creatrixes of that life, that dream life, whether it means living in the jungle or whatever that dream is for you. That's what we work through in that course as well. So, kind of seeing how all the things weave in, and then of course, um, recently too, I've just been contacted like to facilitate some cacao ceremonies here in Ontario and Toronto, which is really cool because that's something that's, we do at our festivals and events, but that I get called on more in Costa Rica for. And so that's like another kind of one of my offerings and spaces where I feel the most attuned with myself and my dharma, sharing that medicine of cacao in a sacred way and helping people to reconnect with nature in that sense. Yeah, and then with my naturality, just the retreats I do as well. Like I have one coming up actually at the end of February, a women's retreat, Diosa Escapes, calling on the goddesses that want to connect with their feminine divine and live like a goddess, do goddess photo shoots and just be in nature and connect with women, and hosting those smaller retreat containers, and also recently having opportunity to explore cultivating those experiences for other people that want to put together a retreat but don't have the experience or the know-how, realizing, oh, we've been doing this with TmrwTday for so many years. I didn't realize that that was like a thing that other people are like, I want to do this, but I need the help, and that I can, I can be of service in that way. So I think that's it for
Wow.
now.
Oh, and I'm just smiling so big because I'm like seeing and witnessing you, and like you support like the micro and the macro. Like you go so deep within the inner work. So these women are like showing up the best version of themselves, but then you hold these big containers of like the soul family, the soul rebels that you help, just you activate them. And then I see these soul rebels go around on earth as like the part of this constellation just lighting up the planet. And then you have this village where you're like nurturing, nourishing families that I know you have the vision of like 7 generations deep. And so you just Stacy Irie Soul is creating this ripple effect across time and space. And to witness, to be here with you, and to even just capture your story on this recording, this evergreen podcast that we'll have online and on YouTube. But I just want to celebrate you,
Mm.
that I see you and I'm here with you and I celebrate you. And like just thank you for showing up and playing big while we're here on earth.
Yeah.
I know it's a big celebration, but honestly, you are leading by example, and it is I want you to just know it is you're doing like my gratitude. I can't even express it in words. Okay. And so how you inspire and empower me, I hope that those listening will and feel the call to lean in to you, whether it's your course, your retreats, your community. Like I just know that you are magnetic and you are a confident creatrix.
Mm. Thank
As the
you.
sun comes in, I one more question. What does move with love mean to you?
Oh. Move with love. Well, this kind of comes down to one of the core teachings and practices that I like to share. But in short, love being one of my core values. And when we discover and understand why we have these core values, it becomes easier to make decisions and to gain clarity and know where we're going in life. And moving with love, that's what it means to me. It's aligning my decisions with love, my actions. Although, I'm not perfect, doesn't happen perfectly every time, but just having that intention there, and moving with love for myself and for others in the choices that I make, and allowing love to lead the way over the fears and roadblocks that might come up, is just to, you know, as much as the needle might point and shift as we go through it and emotions arise, to always bring back ourselves to love and to move with that embodied in everything that we do.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing your message, your magic, your medicine with all of us today. And
Yeah.
so I will add all the links on our little show notes, but please lean in to, if you feel the call, please connect
Yeah.
with Stacy. And I guess until next time,
Hmm.
let's share the message. Let's adapt the mindset, the lifestyle. Let's move with love together. Namaste.
Namaste, sister.